I know, but that's the point. Yeah, how do you fight it then?
Well, this is what I was going to say. The thing about Bernie and the OC is that they are obviously on their like anti-oligarchy tour, and they're pulling in massive numbers. This is not an unpopular niche thing. People are crying out for something. Jeremy Corbyn got a huge wave of popular support here when he ran. More votes than Labour did when they got in this time. This is not unpopular. It's not that people don't want it. It's that the media class and the political class don't want people to have the option. But at the moment, things are I feel like a few years ago we could have maybe pulled the nose up with this, with having these conversations. At the moment, I feel like, I don't know if it's just me being pessimistic, but when I saw that press conference the other day where they were talking about the people who'd been taken to El Salvador, who the White House admitted that like they accidentally arrested somebody who is not a criminal, shipped them off to El Salvador, sorry we can't get them back. And then they had the president of El Salvador going, oh yeah, no, I mean, I don't know what I could possibly do either. And it's just like, fuck, how's not a single journalist in that room just breaking down and going, you are fucking evil. You are evil. This is it's just evil. This is not a case of we have two political parties who disagree on how to run the economy. This is your fucking straight up evil, and you know you're being evil.
That's what I mean. It's about morality.
But
that's the problem.
One of the things is people who voted for them like that. You've got idiots like Chuck Schumer, who is the Democrat, the head of Democrats in the Senate.
Evil really corrodes the vessel in which it's kept. He is one of those guys that you can see his glasses and then his nose. Yeah.
He still thinks he's going to somehow persuade.
Yeah, I know, he's an idiot.
Like Republicans. It's like, no, do you not understand?
Either he's on their side or he's an idiot. There's only two options you have there.
Yeah, and it's very, very difficult to. I mean, we talked about this last time. This sort of normalcy bias that people have of thinking. Yeah, but I mean. The bad thing's not really happening. The bad thing is happening.
Yes.
That's your enemy. Fucking shoot him.
Well, this is it, isn't it? Because you were going like, well, these people don't care. They like the evil. What do you do? So if communication has now failed, that's where we're at. It's like, do we keep trying to communicate and be diplomatic?
Yeah, you have to keep communicating.
Do we have a big
stop being diplomatic? I mean, America is going to have a fucking civil war. I mean, I'm amazed they've held together this long, to be honest with you. But look, you do have some journalists who are fucking calling it out. You do. You just don't have enough of them. But what will happen, probably, is that more and more of the fence sitters and the arseholes will find themselves in some way having to confront the reality. The only question is whether or not they're all in fucking jail by the time it happens. I mean, we're not quite at the stage of Trump in a fucking bejeweled uniform having pictures of himself up at all the airports. 6 months.
We just had a big military birthday party for him. That was like, it was basically there.
He's been desperate for fucking tanks
Well, they're doing the soft version of it. I mean, they've already started the idea of that if you don't agree or you speak ill of him, the private sector is dealing with you. So it's a matter. This is the whole point about, they'll use the government for that eventually. That's the testing of the water to see what people are willing to not put up with, but ignore. Ignore in the sense of, I kind of know it's happening, but I'll just pretend it's not. And that is completely advantageous to them.
Yeah,
so to your point, I think you're completely correct. That if the direction of travel continues within a couple of years' time, these individuals will just not know what the fuck's happened. They'll wake up one day, some guys in black suits will be in the door, they're in a wagon, and that's the end of it. They're in jail for the rest of their lives.
This is a great quote. If you ever watched The Man in the High Castle, Helen Smith, who's like the wife of the chief sort of Nazi in America, and she says, I never thought about these people until we became these people, because her son has a genetic disorder and therefore is and that completely breaks her spell. It takes for it to happen to them. There's a great Chris Rock routine about rap music, and I was like, he says, like, I love rap music, I am tired of defending it. And then he says, but women love this shit. They'll listen to this awful shit. It's like, slap dicks. And he's like, why are you listening to this? He ain't talking about me. And this is until they're talking about you.
Yeah, there's no like perfectly innocent victim.
No.
It's like this angelic person who's the first person that gets targeted. You know, it's just that's a total fiction.
And they'll always go after people in the first instance who can be made to look unappealing in some way. So, you know, like you round up people from South and Central America and you say they're all members of some fucking gang. Well, everybody fucking hates organized crime, gangs, drugs, fucking guns. No one, well, most people don't like that. So that's easy. Whether or not it's true, whether or not it's real, whether or not they really are, it doesn't matter. As long as they kind of look that way, you can persuade people that that's it. And then it's something else. So, I mean, you know, it's always target a small minority that can't protect themselves. And then once you've established that you can get away with doing horrible shit to them, then you can widen the base.
Thank God I've not come for the gingers yet. I mean,
Protect your gingers.
I think for the most... Oh, sorry.
So, I've seen a lot of people quoting the First They Came poem online, which
Yeah,
So,
we're so far past that. And sorry.
that poem, so in the Holocaust Museum in Washington, the first line is "First They Came for the Socialists." The first line of that poem is "First They Came for the Communists," but when they put it in the Holocaust Museum in the States, they took out the communists because they didn't think Americans could sympathise with communists. Do you see where I'm going with things? Also, that poem also misses out that they came for gay people because the guy who wrote it was homophobic. Do you see where I'm going with this? We've always been this shit. It's just so deeply upsetting that we just never learn these
I
lessons.
think the only thing that it's not a positive thing, but it never really works. It's the only long-term happiness you can take out of it. You wouldn't live to see the good bit, but it will all come tumbling down because it never holds together what they're trying to do because it's built on nothing. There's nothing driving it apart from being horrible.
It's
So I
because
think
in order to make it work, so the reason it never ultimately works is because actually my sort of 10 to 50% of the population are cunts rule.
Yeah.
Right. In order to be able,
high about it.
The GPT threw that maths for you.
You said that on this podcast like 10 years ago now. We might have to sort of bump up the numbers a little bit.
so the thing is, no, I would hold it that it's true. But then there's a whole load of people who are in this sort of squishy area of being like asshole curious, as it were. Do you know what I mean? Like they can be assholes, but they're probably not really, really fundamental. Like there's only a small number of people who will shoot a child in the face, right? They're around us all the time, and yeah, like they'll be driving buses and fucking delivering Amazon parcels. But in the right circumstances, if you gave them a gun and told them that fucking child was Jewish or this or whatever, they'd be somebody that could shoot a child in the face. But there's only a really small number of them overall. They're a small percentage. Then you get a lot more people who will put up with people shooting a child in the face, but they won't do it themselves. And then there's a lot of people who will feel really bad about the fact that other people are shooting children in the face, but won't do anything about it. You see where I'm going with this. And so what happened under the Nazis, for instance, is that you had the percentage of people who were all right about doing all horrible shit, doing it. But then you had an awful lot more people who didn't want to say anything because they didn't want themselves to be shot in the face, but who would not actually do the thing.
We know that for a fact.
And so what happens is that in the situation where they ought to do the bad thing because the bad thing is the law, they actually say, fuck off, disappear, go. And so you don't actually succeed because not enough of the population are the small percentage of people who will just shoot a child in the face.
Because you're talking about quoting this poem and people love quoting things. The whole Democrats fucking love a quote. They just love putting a really low quality JPEG image with some bollocks quotes.
Mr. Trump, you can hate someone you've never met. I can love someone.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
Yes,
Fucking
I didn't respond to that because I laughed solidly for about 20 minutes. And then I thought I have nothing that I can add.
There's a post that I did see, a good post. It was on Blue Sky, and it was about the Terry Gilliam movie Brazil. If you've never seen Brazil, it's a very fucking good movie. Jonathan Pryce in the lead. Definitely go and watch it. But they were saying one of the things they observed why they thought that it was better than Orwell's 1984 is that in Brazil it does a much better job of articulating how an incompetent regime because that's the whole part. It's all mad. None of it makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's all irritating and all really, really stupid. But everyone just goes along with it, which is what you're describing.
Yeah.
At no point is anybody in the system presented as being competent or intelligent. And I never thought about it, but I've never liked 1984. And that, I think, is the reason why, because I don't, although ones are giving the Nazis some level of credit for their organization and a wee bit of smarts, not really also, because like they were stupid, they were fucking idiots, and the whole thing went down. And I think the presentation of fascism as being competent and scary is something that it doesn't ring true to me, because I think people that are drawn towards that way of being are fundamentally quite dumb, evil. They're not competent.
Weak.
Yeah, weak. And I think that that's the thing, that the intelligent, things like the EU, for example, right, it's not perfect. But I think to have an organization on that scale, or trying to build like potentially some kind of like federation-y, world government-y, whatever, you would have to have en masse people driven by moral good. The only thing that can allow a thing of that scale to operate workably is people being driven beyond their own selfish means. And that's the problem with fascism, because the knives are always out. You see it in the Tories all the time.
Yeah,
They're desperate to stab each other in the back. So
Yeah.
the right are terrified of this idea of like an organized evil, because that's sort of what they, I think, desperately want to be. So that they think of things like the EU as being this terrifying idea, because they can't relate to the idea of humans en masse doing the right thing for the sake of doing the right thing. It's beyond their way of thinking. So in the same way that I can't understand Trump's brain, he can't understand mine. I think that's a two-way street. And unfortunately, I think that does come down to maybe we just have to kill those people. I need to be talked out of that way of being. I don't know. I want somebody to come ahead here and say to me, but it's a diplomatic, democratic way to solve this. And I think they just
has got the right approach to
Yeah.
Nazis.
That's why I think when Luigi did what Luigi did, I think it made a lot of people come forward and go, you know what? We've been putting up with this for a lot of decades now, and I'm thinking that Luigi guy might be onto something. you
Yeah,
know?
I'm not a fan of political violence, but
Yeah. I think what it showed was that thought had obviously entered a lot of people's heads for a long time.
I with a cheeky grin does it with style.
He knows exactly what the fuck he's doing. This might be the only thing on this podcast that's ever going to age badly, will be if somehow we've completely misinterpreted the Luigi thing, but I don't think we have. I think that is pretty fucking clear what he did. But we should probably start saying that he didn't do what he did in order to scupper the court case.
it doesn't really matter that much. I mean, if he's accidentally done something,
If he was able to put the guy next to him and still hit him, I would still support him, because I still think the outcome is ultimately better.
sure, he's trying to shoot a cute puppy that he missed.
It feels unlikely. I think so Pam Bondi's going for the death penalty for him, and to say of like federal.
I know I commented on it, but I think that you came back with an obvious rebuttal to that of like, I don't think we're going to get to that stage.
Oh, well, I just think that will make it more likely that that you'll have a jury nullification verdict.
Well, yeah,
by
that's-
like the jury will go, as you know, if he was going to go to just go to jail, no execution. I think a jury might well go, look, you obviously fucking did it. But I think a jury of New Yorkers.
How many do you need to say he's not?
So in America, I think you normally need a unanimous verdict, not as opposed to a majority verdict.
I don't know. It might be different, like federal.
The sending him to jail, as you just said there, I think it's one thing where everyone's going to say, well, you did kill him. I mean, you killed the right guy, but you did kill a guy. So therefore, we can't really have you roaming about the streets being Batman. But
No, he would rock a Batman costume.
yeah. Well, yeah, I think at that point, that's probably,
Surely.
he can't be allowed back out, because he would just crowdfund that. I think at this point, the guy's so popular, they would just try and turn him into Bruce Wayne.
If I am a grapple.
But start swinging around the city. But I think the killing him thing, though, I think that has the potential to.
But yeah, the jury might go, we can't let that happen.
But I think the public, though, I think the protests take on a different level. I think because also there are people.
I'm still really
Signs.
hoping that and I know it's not true, but I'm still really hoping actually he's got a fucking cast iron alibi, and that he deliberately fucking, like that there's somebody else that actually did the deed, and that it's all set up, and that he's fucking carbon dated himself being in a different state. But
With Pam Bondi on the case, there's a very high chance he'll get off on a technicality.
yeah, she's fucking
He'll like spell his name wrong in all the forms or something stupid there. Yeah.
gooey.
Or Mario or something. One slightly positive note, I guess, looking at all this stuff is that a lot of it is performatively evil rather than actually achieving very much.
Yeah.
Because America deports people, millions of people during every presidency.
Yeah.
Even I think Kamala Harris even said, when she was running, that I've deported more folk than he'll ever do. Because she was actually a prosecutor and was actually putting folk in planes herself. So the amount of people who are actually getting sent to El Salvador is minuscule. I'm not saying that it's not terrible. We shouldn't be talking about it.
It's the kids in cages thing again, isn't it? It's the same thing we had last time. We're basically the Democrats were the kids were in the cages then. This is not a new thing.
The point is to look evil and to look badass to your supporters and look what we're doing. We're being the real baddies here. Look how cool we are.
The El Salvador thing, don't think is very popular. Even with Republicans, people are kind of going,
Especially if he's talking about sending American citizens, not as naturalized ones. So you're going to build 5 more places. Some people are going, guys.
Because I think the Trump base.
Joe Rogan, yesterday, the day before, Joe Rogan was like, I don't know, I kind of feel a bit like this due process thing is quite important.
Joe think you should have a lawyer. Yeah.
Joe believe an innocent till proven guilty.
He's just like, what's that Benjamin Franklin quote that you have? I'd rather have 10 guilty people walk free than 1 innocent person in jail. I really, really believe in that.
Joe, we're all for democracy.
Don't worry. But I don't think
Everything is not computer.
I don't think Joe worried. I think Joe recognised that this is an unpopular move and is shifting accordingly in a very cynical
Do you
fashion.
think he actually cares about that, or does he care that he's been financially affected by all the tariff stuff? Because tons of these folk have lost millions.
Yeah, that's
In colony,
that's Joe. There's layers to this shit. So I think there are levels to it. I think the problem with the Trump base, what they have going is that there's obviously a group within that support group that really does think Trump is cool. And I think the majority of people that vote Trump don't like Trump. They don't like Elon, but they're like a means to what they think is a positive end. And that's what it was like in 2016 as well. No one was like, wow, what a cool guy. But I think that at the top of the chain now, that's got muddied because I think the guys that are in there, they're all very insecure. So they want to believe that every person that voted for Trump really likes me. And Elon is doing the same thing. It's like, that's an endorsement of me. And I think that's why you got your Joe Rogan types that I think are more any way the wind blows. He's just going wherever the ratings are, wherever the money is.
He could have been a Bernie bro.
100%. Yeah, there's a layer to that of there are people that are more committed to the cause, as it were, of the fash, and then there's just fascism's cool for the next 6 months, and then I'll move on to something else afterwards. There's that kind
Those are the people I hate more.
I agree. We should kill those ones first.
Yeah. Then we'll deal with the committed fascists later. They'll probably all kill each other before we get to them anyway. So
We're in for the true red hats to the end.
I mean, they're the same group of people, because they're all making sort of, AI art of Trump looking, and always looking incredibly buffed, and they're like, have you seen him?
Yeah.
That's really fucking. He's got a bag full of fucking foam chips that's been tightly tied at the top. That's what his physical.
Yeah, it's weird. Do you remember for the Nightmare Before Christmas? He looks like that kind of sack that if you pulled at it, all bugs would fly out of him. That's
It's the same people that do all the Braveheart art in the Scotland, aren't they? The same fucking ones. I keep a photograph on my phone, and when I need to find it, I use the location feature and to isolate it, and it's a Braveheart painting that somebody had given to a charity shop on Paisley Road West.
Is it the Mel Gibson?
Yeah. And when now and again when I've had to, for whatever reason, put up with something, it's a little happy space to scroll in on the phone to Photoshop because I haven't got many photographs taken on Paisley Road West. And there it is. It's just the funniest thing. And because we used to be using the bus along that route, and it was there in the window for fucking ever. And then just laughing every day as the bus went past it. It's just a terrible.
Cartman worships a picture of Mel Gibson. He has one in his bedroom in South Park. He's got a picture of it. And it's the one from Braveheart. It probably actually is that exact image you're talking about.
Just because he's anti-Semitic, though.
I didn't believe this. Yeah, that's right.
Fucking horrible cunt.
Didn't he get off with like a gun violation or something? Because
Like Eric Cartman.
Yeah.
he's a Trump supporter.
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson. Yes, I forgot about that.
I think he's not meant to have a gun because
He's history of domestic violence. He shouldn't have it.
The son Joe, I believe Mel, I think he was coming out of the woodwork, and this was during and up to the election for these reasons, obviously, because he seems like a really terrible bastard. Great director and quite a good actor, but a fucking terrible person. I would defend him. There's loads of people out there that are absolutely fucking talentless bums that get involved in this, but like I will say that apart from being utterly mental, I don't really see much flaws in just. Well, he's been in some shite films to be fair, but in terms of the stuff he's actually directed himself, it's like you can kind of go, well, the subject matter you can debate, but the actual quality of what he's put together is reasonably good. Anyway, enough about Mel
I
Gibson.
can't believe he didn't make himself Jesus in that movie.
I know. He wanted to though. If you watch Braveheart, he wants to, because there's a lot of Mel just looking off into the distance, and the cat. It's like, well, what is this shot there to do? And it's just Mel wants to look handsome on the camera. So yeah, no, that did make me think of that other thing. I thought about the picture about. Did you ever see that thing online where it was someone's gran had bought a picture of what they thought was Jesus Christ, but it was just Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. Okay.
And she had it on her mantelpiece for like 10 years. Getting them on the hand tell them.
I was going to say something about
That story's more true though.
what?
The Star Wars story is actually
Yeah.
stripped to reality.
Well, I think the post is like, she got the gist. Like, it kind of covers the same bases. What was I going to say there about, something about it. Oh, that was it. Joe Rogan. Yeah, he was talking about how he's any way the wind blows, these guys, and how you said earlier on, they kind of facilitate the bad thing. And of course, when it actually comes to war, that is the sequence. We're going to kill those guys first, but we do, because they're the guys that will actually be with the guns on the streets going bang, bang, bang. And then it's the guys in the government that we get later, and then we do a big war crimes trial for those guys. Just as a heads up for anyone that is a bit on that Joe Rogan level, if your civil war comes, they keep talking about how they're all MMA fighting and gun toting. It's like, all right, have fun, see how enjoyable all that is that you actually get to do it, because you really, and not under controlled conditions in your MMA training camp in a complete fucking Fortnite style free-for-all bloodbath.
I'm just going to say that all the fucking mad fighting skills in the world aren't going to help you if it's a fucking sniper on a rooftop. It's the bullet out there.
This is always fascinating me about this, about how the rise of MMA culture in the States is very weird, because martial arts is not really traditional like an American thing. It's more of a, right, before we had guns, we had to know how to do like the hand-hand business. So it's like, well, why are you bothering learning all that? You live in America. You're going to get fucking shot. Doesn't matter how many fucking double leg takes-ins you can do with a guy. If he's got a machine gun and you don't, you're fucked. So I just say, well, I have no idea why the UFC is so fucking successful.
I just think it's brilliant that the entire world's economy and war and stuff like that is determined by whether one guy had a good round of golf or not.
It's so depressing the way that we've overpowered America so badly in that way, that if one idiot gets into the White House, it fucks everything up for everybody else. Like, we should never have allowed it to get to that point. There was so many things we didn't do after World War II that we should have. We did tidy up America and Russia really badly, and we didn't do it.
The real failure was not dealing with the demise of the Soviet Union.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Sorry, you were.
I know I've mentioned it a few times because it's the only thing that I think about or talk about or care about right now, but we are buying a house this year, and the mortgage interest rates were meant to go down next month. That's probably not going to happen anymore. And I was just sitting thinking, like, just because one weird 80-year-old fuck in America just will not have this thing explained to him. Just will not have it explained. Not he's made his mind up. And I'm like, how did we just let this happen?
Liz Truss cost me 20 grand.
And killed the Queen.
And killed the Queen.
I mean, the thing is, we're having a moan about either the interest rates and the mortgage, but I mean, you compare that to people in America's entire life savings have been fucking wiped out by stupid bastards. The only thing I could say is we did vote for the guy, but, at the end of the day, it still sucks,
It's the people going, this isn't what I voted for. I think you'll find he was pretty clear about what he was going to do. And there's take him seriously, but not literally. No, take him literally, but not seriously. When he says stuff, he really means it.
Yeah, the tariff thing, we talked about already on it. But yeah, he definitely, because I remember it on the run up to the election, we talked about it and we were laughing about how I don't think Americans understand how tariffs work.
No.
And it turns out they don't.
No.
And that's why we're
Even
on this
if
boat.
tariffs worked the way they think they do, the way they thought they do, which they don't, they would still nonetheless increase prices. Because what do you think? Oh, well, China imports, like, round up. If China's importing $100 worth of stuff into the US and you put a tariff on it of 5%, and you think China's going to pay the 5%, you're going to charge China the 5% for the $100 worth of stuff that they're bringing in, what are they going to do to the price that they sell the stuff for? They'll put it up by the $5. That's how that will work. So it will still, even if it worked the way you thought it did, it would still make things more expensive. It doesn't. It's just a fucking tax on yourselves. It's like, you're the nation that bangs on more about fucking tax cuts than any other. And it's like, you voted for a guy that basically said, I'm going to tax everything you buy by lots.
Well, I think, I don't actually know if Trump has said this or if this is just straight copium, but quite a few of his supporters that I've seen sort of been interviewed about their opinions are saying, but he's doing this so that he can eventually get rid of income tax, the way that it used to work, where it was just all tariff-based.
Yeah, back in like 1782 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It's like,
I love that word.
When stuff came in one ship at a time and you could fucking inventory what was coming off it, and it wasn't all in massive fucking sarcophaguses of fucking film chat. Yeah, oh god.
and there's still a lot of Democrats kind of pandering to it still. Like, well, some of these tariffs are bad, but like, the car ones for the car industry in my state, it's going to be great and all this.
I know they're still trying to wonder why the rest of the world doesn't want to buy their cars. It's because they're shit boxes.
I think they have.
They're absolute fucking giant shit boxes. We've all got wee streets. We can't be having your fucking 4-ton weirdo fucking tanks.
Yeah, why aren't the Japanese importing Chevy Silverados
Yeah, it's a mystery, isn't it?
for the Tokyo streets?
Don't want a bumper that's the exact right height to decapitate a child. It's
I
just,
think they have. Star Wars is showing us, right? And I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but I was thinking about this as well. I think America's at the point now where it has to have a big war to cover up for this, because if their empire crumbles just on general stupidity, which is kind of the direction at the moment, it'll be really embarrassing. So they have a massive big conflict. We might forget how it started, because like no one knows how World War I even began at this point. So I think I'm right in saying you can get them.
Ferdinand.
Star Wars,
there'll be an indie band in 50 years just called Tariffs.
Star Wars Episode 1 starts with trade negotiations, doesn't it? So there we go.
Don't remind me about Star Wars at this very difficult time. Don't remind me about the prequels, so I don't want to think about them.
George Lucas is there going, who's laughing now, fuckers? Who's laughing now? It's still a terrible fucking film.
Everything you needed to know is in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
I do think that all these cunts, like your Chuck Schumers, and apparently quite a number of Republicans now are in conversation with Democrats going, okay, yeah, we think we might need to do something. We need to impeach this guy. But they're kind of hedging their bets and seeing how it plays out. All these cunts, regardless of if they eventually try to do something about it, can never ever be allowed a place in society ever again. Like, they can never be fucking forgiven. They can never be forgotten. It's not hold the line.
Term limits for senators and congressmen, I think. They shouldn't be allowed to do more than 3 or 4 terms.
Yeah.
Because they should have taken it back and shot.
I just think you get people like fucking Schumer, or what was it, Dianne Feinstein and stuff like that, who was like fucking 87, 97 or something like that. She's deaf, she's fucking blind. There was one of them who was being in a fucking senility facility at a fucking nursing home. Like, this needs
Just
to
disappear
stop.
for 2 months later, is she?
You've been fucking committed to a fucking safe facility. And
Mitch McConnell actively stroking out mid-interview and things like that.
I have no thanks.
Yeah, to fix it, it's just so much work and just really hard to do because
You think you almost actually do need a civil war where they just fucking start again.
But I mean, they should be able to do it. If they've had brains, they'd be like, right, if we reduce the power of the executive, it might be bad for us while we're in, but it'd be good.
What's the key operator in the sentence you just said.
I didn't do English.
If they had a brain.
As a fat day.
There. I think that's always the caveat. I know that's always the problem.
I think the thing is, it's probably not even an intelligence thing as well, because they must know, they'll know this. I think it's just that I don't think any generation wants to accept, unless there's a big fucking war and you're told you've got to go and fight it, that you're going to be the generation that has to go through the shite to make it better for the next one. I think there's something that really throughout human history that probably plays out. I reckon that because that's the thing, that they would only have to accept that for the next 30 years, you're going to have to slog through. It would be in everything, all the stuff we've talked about, putting a free energy infrastructure, and you go down the list of all the different things you can put in place. And once it's done, it's done. And it will probably hold for a few hundred years if you do it right. And then this will happen again in a few hundred years' time and the thing repeats. But I don't think anyone does that. I think it just gets to a point where, yeah, but it's them, and they all point at the other guy. And then eventually there's a big fucking fight. And then that fight forces a sort of, what we saw after the Second World War, like in Europe, it's sort of like,
Yeah, it's a big reset.
it's a reset. And I think that's, I think the direction of travel, I feel we're far enough along the tracks that if the Americans are not acting now, they're not going to act. And I don't think that in England just seen that as well, that in spite of everything that's happened with the Tories and Brexit and whatever, you know, Reform are just a rebrand of the Tories. They've not learned anything. And I think that it is feasible we're going to get swept up in that wave. Hence why, to end on a good note, it's good to see Scottish independence support's gone up quite a bit. So we've had living hope. And then we got to build the wall, box them in. Don't
Make England pay for it.
make England pay for it. We might let Wales maybe, but we're doing passport checks at the border to make sure you're definitely Welsh, not one of them.